Tonight, a different take on the controversy surrounding medical marijuana. Molly has worked for weeks on what we're about to see. She even traveled to Colorado.
Most of us think medical marijuana is something people smoke to alleviate pain, only that is not the only form. Tonight's story is part of the debate you've probably never seen, a twist no one is talking about. We think we should be. The liquid form of medical marijuana you're about to see is illegal in North Carolina. It's illegal in most states, not, however, in Colorado. New at 11 o'clock, we traveled 1,500 miles to see why Charlotte families are uprooting their lives for a medicine our state government doesn't allow.
You never lose that hope.
Luca is 3. For him to be focusing on our camera this intensely, to have his eyes move as we move, is nothing short of a miracle.
Before, he was just like looking through us.
At 5 weeks old, Maria Cardona's youngest child was diagnosed with a rare gene disorder that caused severe epileptic seizures. Lots of them.
So he had up to 20 seizures a day before the medicine, and where is he now?
He is in 1 or 2.
A day?
A day.
Maria gives all credit to a new age strain of medical marijuana called Charlotte's Web.
You just put all of this.
It's an oil she gives orally, like most parents give Tylenol. She had to move from her home in Southwest Charlotte late last year to this Colorado Springs apartment in order to get it.
Everybody that we tell them we're going to try medical marijuana, they were like, oh my God, he's going to get high. I'm like, he's not going to get high.
No one understood. But to Maria and her husband, it was simple.
We have tried 13 different medicines, so why not? Why not medical marijuana?
Go show Grandmama.
Same story for mom and native Charlottean Liz Gorman. Her daughter Maddie has severe epilepsy.
Over 5 years, we've had uncontrolled seizures.
She's 7, but on an 18-month-old level.
Hey, Maddie, can you count the balloons? I remember really thinking that I loved it when she was little and that I wished I could keep her that way forever, and somehow I got that.
You can do it.
Maddie's been on 14 medications, even had brain surgery. Nothing worked. Within weeks of hearing about Charlotte's Web, Liz and Maddie moved to Colorado. Her husband had to stay in North Carolina for his job.
We're nowhere near a therapeutic dose. We're at a very tiny dose still.
But you've seen improvements in a very tiny dose.
What is the secret behind this medicine? The answers we learn were up this dirt road tucked high in the Rockies in an unsuspecting cabin marked as private. This is the headquarters for the company making Charlotte's Web. The location is called The Grow. Walk in and business hits you head on.
Every strain requires a little bit different of a nutrient.
Seedlings are inside, 2 greenhouses filled down the hill. It's busy, focused, with hippie-like chaos and a family-oriented feel.
Hi, sweetie pie.
Jordan Stanley and his brothers run this operation.
We have around 150 kids that we're treating at the moment, and several hundred on the waiting list.
Jordan says the trick to finding out how to treat pediatric epilepsy is knowing what's in a marijuana plant. The plant has THC, the stuff that makes you high, and CBD, the stuff that can be therapeutic. Through trial and error, the Stanley brothers removed most of the THC and focused on creating an oil really high in CBD. They called it Charlotte's Web after the first little girl it worked for. You saw Jordan pick her up a minute ago. Her name is Charlotte.
She comes in, she just kind of molds to you.
There are no official studies on Charlotte's Web. No federal agency says this works. But word of mouth is spreading like wildfire. In our 2 hours there, a half-dozen families from around the country showed up to check it out.
Got kids coming in and everything.
Oh, yeah.
As if that's not enough, while touring the greenhouses, we ran into a dad from Wilmington, North Carolina. His 6-year-old daughter, Mia, has 2 to 3 seizures a minute.
I see hope, you know. It almost brings tears to my eyes to come here and see this.
Are you going to move here from Wilmington?
It's a very good possibility, yes.
We get to be the people that get to make a difference. It's an honor and it's a thrill to be able to be a part of all of these families' lives.
You can look at this one.
Lives, which according to these 2 Carolina moms, are getting better.
Any little thing, little good thing, like a smile, gaining, strength, that makes our days.
Will you say hi?
As for the future, Liz says she has no problem begging North Carolina lawmakers to specifically legalize medical marijuana high in CBD. The medicine, she reminds anyone who will listen, helps kids and gets no one high.
To me, it's pretty black and white. It's hard to understand why this is something that children all over the country who are suffering with similar types of epilepsies shouldn't have access to. It's just a little bit, it's very sad.
Oh, where's that one go?
We shouldn't have to move for this.
But move they did. They really didn't have a choice.
Two guys making Charlotte's Web.
Well, a set of brothers. There's more than two.
All right, so a set of brothers. Can they make enough?
That's the big question. They won't run out, but they might have to limit how many kids they give Charlotte's Web to. The waiting list, Paul, is really long because the brothers won't let a child start the medicine unless they have enough to give that child for their entire life. So that's why only 150 to 200 families are on it now, but they get 500 calls a week.
Molly is live with some of the responses she's getting since the story aired last night. Molly?
Well, Jamie, what you and Brigida just said is key. Charlotte's Web is not getting anyone high. You and I could take it all day long. It's an oil medicine and we'd never get stoned. But it does seem to be helping these severely sick children. We asked last night on Facebook, it was our trending question at 11 o'clock. What do you guys think after seeing this special report? The comments have been coming in all day. All new at 11, some of the best known leaders from both parties are now backing legalization right here in North and South Carolina.
A South Carolina Republican.
So I am determined to see this thing through.
And a North Carolina Democrat.
There's a movement
with the same opinion.
It doesn't really fit into a pigeonhole in terms of this is typically what Democrats are for, what Republicans are for.
Announcement.
These two politicians are both fighting in their own respective states to get similar medical marijuana laws passed. Let's start with North Carolina. Representative Kelly Alexander proposed a bill last year. He got laughed at and shut down.
Initially, they pretty much thought I had gone off the deep end and was crazy.
Within the first 72 hours of this year's General Assembly session, Alexander says he's going to pitch a new marijuana bill.
We shouldn't have a situation where citizens of North Carolina feel that they have to relocate to Colorado in order to get a legal treatment for their kids. That makes no sense at all.
Alexander says it's, quote, inevitable. North Carolina medical marijuana law will change.
Change is going on all over the place. There's been movement in Georgia and I believe Alabama concerning it.
And South Carolina.
And my God, South Carolina, gee.
Yes, even South Carolina. In fact, South Carolina is ahead of North Carolina. State Senator Tom Davis introduced a bill last week.
If I had a daughter that was 6 years old and had epileptic seizures up to 100 per hour, I mean, I would move heaven and earth to provide relief.
Davis is describing this little girl, Mary Louise. Her grandmother is in Davis's district. About a month ago, she got to him and explained Charlotte's Web. Now that he understands, he says he wants to spread the word.
And one of our jobs as lawmakers, I think, is to explain exactly what CBD oil is. It has no THC. It doesn't get you high.
We were with him last week at the State House, the day after he put his bill out there. It asks to specifically legalize medicinal marijuana oils high in CBD.
In fact, it's immoral if we don't allow it.
Strong words, especially some might say, from a Republican. But Davis is not a fluke in the GOP. We went after the most well-known conservative in South Carolina. Lindsey Graham backs the idea 100%.
I'm putting myself in the shoes of a parent. If this treatment helps their child with epileptic seizures, why stand in the way?
So as South Carolina's bill about CBD oils inches through, Kelly Alexander is still drafting North Carolina's. And be warned, Alexander says his will most likely encompass recreational marijuana and medical, just to give people something to eliminate.
What we're trying to do now is to keep the momentum going in the state to get some change.
In other words, throw a lot at the wall, see what sticks, and if they have to take recreational out, let it be.
Amen.
So why no official studies yet on Charlotte's Web and other marijuana oils high in CBD? Because you can't really study marijuana. It's classified as a narcotic. The Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, has all kinds of restrictions limiting clinical trials and research into medical marijuana for epilepsy. In fact, just last Friday, the National Epilepsy Foundation came out with a statement pushing the federal government to please relax those standards. So we'll see where that goes. But a lot of people ask, why no studies? That's why.
And Senator Graham is for medical marijuana.
Medical marijuana. He was very adamant that he is not for recreational marijuana, but right now we're just talking medical.
Well, this is what's trending tonight. Is medical marijuana a partisan issue? Go to our Facebook page, leave a comment. We could read them later in our newscast tonight. And here's tonight's question. Is this a partisan issue, politically partisan? Molly just showed you how politicians from both sides of the aisle are working to legalize it here in the Carolinas. Now, Steve wrote, I think it is a a partisan issue, but it, like many other issues, should not be.
Judy says this shouldn't be a political issue. If children suffering from a sickness need this as medicine, it should be between their doctor and parents only.
And Candace wrote, it will be political, which is a shame if it can sincerely help children.
When I was in Colorado weeks ago looking into how this drug is made, I ran into a dad from Wilmington. Turns out his little girl is now at the top of the waiting list for this drug. If they move to Colorado, she can get on it. That has left the family, who's still in Wilmington, with quite a decision. Mia Morley has a form of epilepsy known as intractable. It's severe and treatment resistant. Mia has more seizures a day than doctors can count.
Didn't sit up when normal babies sit up. Didn't crawl on time.
From their home in Wilmington, Kelly and Dylan Morley say Mia was diagnosed on her first birthday. Home video from when she was younger shows her constantly moving and having trouble holding up her head.
It's okay.
Though she can now crawl, this 6-year-old needs assistance with most everything else.
Just to be able to look in her eyes and not see her have a seizure, that would be a success for me.
Come on, Mia.
Sadly, Dylan says the side effects from some of the 12 various medicines Mia has been on have made her seizures worse, which is why he now confirms they are moving to Colorado to give her a shot with Charlotte's Web.
We're going to give it to her. One way or another, she deserves a chance. And everything we've done to date has failed. The doctors have told us you're basically at the end of the road of what is medically currently available for her.
It's an expensive venture, and they will be ripping apart the support network they've built in Wilmington. A very tough decision. But they say, how can you not try what might just end up being Mia's miracle?
Awareness is such a huge thing.
When we first met Dylan, he was standing in a Colorado greenhouse. He'd flown out west to get a better idea of what Charlotte's Web is all about.
I can't imagine someone seeing this and knowing the truth of what these families deal with that could possibly say this is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
Fast forward 4 weeks, and Dylan and Kelly are taking their 3 kids and moving. As any parent who watches their child suffer might understand, their hope is huge.
I'd love nothing more than be able to have a conversation with her.
Thank you.
We've been covering this story all month, and in each report we emphasize Charlotte's Web is not FDA approved. No study says it works. We also can't seem to find any one politician or agency specifically against Charlotte's Web or other oils high in CBD. We will keep following. For weeks, we've been trying to talk with a North Carolina Republican with an opinion on CBD oils like Charlotte's Web. That's a specific type of medical marijuana illegal in the Carolinas, showing promise with pediatric epilepsy in Colorado, where it is legal. Whether for or against, we just wanted a Republican willing to tell us what they thought. Various Democrats had said they had thoughts. We had not found a Republican with any public stance until today. We went to Raleigh to talk with Representative Pat McElrath. She represents Carteret and Jones counties along the coast. She told us she's sponsoring a bill she will present in May. She wants to legalize CBD oils in North Carolina for pediatric use.
It's the only hope they have right now. It's much better than these horrible psychotropic drugs that they have these children on that are so debilitating to their little bodies. So why not try something?
Representative McElrath says she's still crafting the bill, but it will be specific to CBD oils and not all medical marijuana. She says she believes it should be law here because the oils seem to help kids, but are genetically engineered, so they're not getting anyone high. I'll have more on what she says and who she's building the bill around tomorrow night right here at 11 o'clock. Minutes ago, CNN aired its second documentary on how medical marijuana is affecting sick children in Colorado. It is a timely conversation for us. As we broke last night here at 11 o'clock, a Republican says this May she is going to sponsor a bill to legalize CBD oils, a type of medical marijuana, here in North Carolina. All new at 11 o'clock. More on that bill and the little girl for whom it will be named. This is 5-year-old Haley.
It's frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Haley Ward's mom, Sharina, is a single mom in Newport, a small town in Carteret County along the North Carolina coast. Haley suffers from CDKL5, a genetic disorder. It makes life very difficult.
She has seizures daily. Right now she's asleep. She just had one.
Haley's not a candidate for brain surgery. 12 different medications haven't worked, nor have steroid injections. IV treatments at Duke did show some promise, but ultimately...
I read in my diary, it helped a little bit, but like everything else, it was short-lived. So we've exhausted all of her available treatment options.
Weeks ago, Sharina says that she got lucky. She and Haley met their local state representative, Pat McElraft.
When I saw her, waiting another year till next January was not an option for me.
Representative McElraft, who says she's staunchly against legalizing all medical marijuana, says Haley changed her mind about legalizing the CBD oils that come from the plant but are engineered to be therapeutic and not get anyone high.
I'm going to call this bill Hope for Haley. To allow her and her mother to have that hope is what this is all about.
McElraft says she's still developing the bill. She says it will be specific to CBD oils for pediatric use, and she wants neurologists from Duke and UNC medical systems to be involved in pilot programs. Though some high-ranking Republicans have avoided our requests to talk about medical marijuana, McElraft says so far she's received nothing but support.
After I spoke to my caucus, you would not believe the people that came up to me and said, I will help you in any way I can.
I'm really happy that she's sticking her neck out to help these kids because, like I said, nothing else is working. There's no other option.
McElraft says if she can get bipartisan support, CBD oils could be legalized, she says, as early as July in North Carolina. We found out tonight a bill will be introduced Tuesday in Raleigh, but here's the thing, it won't even mention the word marijuana. The legislator introducing it tells us the language in the bill will refer to CBD oils as hemp.
I feel very comfortable that we are going to get it passed.
McElraft says she has bipartisan support because the bill is narrow. It'll work like this. CBD oils will be sent to 3 North Carolina hospitals, UNC, Duke, and Wake Forest. Patients 18 years and younger with forms of epilepsy will then be able to get the oil through their physician. The medicine has such a low level of THC, it can't get anyone high, but because it is made from marijuana, through McElraft's bill, sheriff's offices will be notified if a family in their county will have it in their home.
What do you say to the people that say it should be more open to people over the age of 18 or people fighting other illnesses, not just intractable epilepsy?
Well, you know, that's not what this bill is about. We are, these children are the ones that I am restricting this to right now. They are the ones who are suffering so much.
Since our report last week, there have been some changes in the language of the bill. It is not going to just be for children under the age of 18. Reaction from parents who say it could change their kids' lives. All new tonight at 11 o'clock.
If it works for Haley, I think her life is going to change tremendously. This kid could possibly start eating by mouth again. She could possibly start, speaking.
Sharina Ward's 6-year-old doesn't talk. She never has. Haley was born with a genetic disorder. Sharina says if this new bill passes and her daughter can start taking CBD oils, their entire existence could change.
Maybe I can take her into public places such as the grocery store.
So you can't even go to a grocery store with your daughter?
No, ma'am. I can't go into Walmart. I can't go into Food Lion. Every time I do, she has a seizure immediately upon walking through the door.
Hope for Haley, yes, the bill is named after Haley Ward, was filed Tuesday afternoon by Republican Pat McElraft. McElraft sent this picture. It was co-sponsored by 3 other legislators, one being Becky Carney in Mecklenburg County. Last week, McElraft said her bill would be restricted to children 18 years and younger. Our story listing that age limit was posted on a Facebook page for families who have kids suffering from epilepsy. Comments lit up. Viv wrote, "My son is 24 and has intractable epilepsy. He too, as well as many others, could benefit from CBD oil." Eugenia said, "I am very disappointed in this bill. My child is 24. She is going to get left out of this, and this is not fair." And Frankie said, "I have a daughter that has Dravet and is 21. I won't be allowed to try this for her." Lo and behold, when the bill was filed today, no age limit. The bill's language makes it clear this oil, which never even mentions marijuana and is only called hemp oil, would be used for people suffering from intractable seizure disorders to provide compassionate use.
The families have been in, contact all day long. We have been just waiting and just all happy and excited and hopeful.
Again, we'll follow the track of this bill. We have the entire bill linked up to our website, WBTV.com. All the stories we've done on this, in fact, there have been over a dozen, are linked to BTV.com/CBD oils.
After last night's story at 11 about a bill filed in North Carolina to legalize CBD oils, that's a strain of medical marijuana, we got lots of questions.
Many of you are wondering about the families who have already moved to Colorado to get the medicine, leaving behind their homes here. The Morleys are one of those families. They left Wilmington for Colorado Springs. We did stories when they did about 2 months ago. They moved on a wing and a deep prayer that CBD oils would help their daughter Mia, who has seizures every minute. Happy to report tonight, Dad Dylan sent these new pictures. After almost 2 months on the medicine, Mia is thriving. Look at that photograph. It isn't a miracle drug for all kids. It affects each child fighting seizures differently, but Dylan says Mia's progress is apparent to all. However, he also says if this bill filed in North Carolina yesterday works and CBD oils become legal here, he said they would move back home. We'll keep following the bill and where it goes.
North Carolina families of kids suffering from severe epilepsy are rejoicing tonight. Governor Pat McCrory says he will sign a bill that legalizes a strain of medical marijuana that hopefully can help these sick kids. The medicine is called CBD oils. It's a liquid. It's made from marijuana, but it cannot get you high. CBD oils have shown to be effective for some kids with epilepsy. Because it wasn't legal here in North Carolina, families were uprooting their lives and moving to Colorado. The law will be named for this little girl, Hope for Haley, 6-year-old Haley Ward. Her single mom, who you see there, said she didn't have the money to move. She helped push legislators to legalize it here in North Carolina. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., Governor McCrory will sign this bill into law in Raleigh. I'll be there. After 5 months of WBTV investigating how CBD oils are made and the results they're showing for these desperate families, I'm happy to say I'll be there. Full report tomorrow night right here at 11 o'clock, Paul.
Molly Grantham was in Raleigh early this morning for the signing. She has been following this story for months, since the beginning. She's now live in our studio. Molly, I know you've shown us what these CBD oils can do for some of the kids suffering from epilepsy.
Shown to help some children deeply, Paul, yes. CBD oils are still being studied, though, to see why they work and who they work for. The oils might come from the marijuana plant, but all the stuff that gets you high is removed. The families and even the governor said today's law was just a start. It was the fastest bill pushed through the General Assembly this session.
It was probably the most emotional signing of a bill that I've had as governor.
Pat McCrory was surrounded by proud families in Raleigh as he signed Hope for Haley, named for this sweet girl beside him, Haley Ward. Afterwards, Sharina, a single mom, couldn't contain her joy.
It just doesn't feel real yet, so I need to be pinched. It's exciting.
Sharina says she dreams this medicine could someday help her daughter talk.
Everything else has been trial and error, so here we go with one more thing. It's incredible that we had to go through this to get it.
The law legalizes CBD oils in North Carolina. They're made from marijuana, but can't get anyone high. It's a liquid medicine. You give it to your child as many parents give Tylenol. To get it in our state, you'll have to go through a neurologist at either UNC, Duke, or Wake Forest hospitals and have had at least 3 other medications fail. The hospitals will be doing clinical studies on the kids who take it.
See what works and what needs to be improved, and we can expand upon this in the coming years.
You do think it can be expanded to be more inclusive?
Oh, I hope it will be, and I hope that's why you have trial periods.
Bob Crawford was also at the signing.
This is a great step forward.
You might know Bob as a bassist for the Avett Brothers. He's here as a dad. His 4-year-old Hallie has a brain tumor.
We've tried everything else for Hallie and nothing's worked, and we feel that this may benefit her. If it doesn't, we know it's going to benefit other children.
But you're going to get her on it to try.
Absolutely.
For months, WBTV has investigated CBD oils, educating about their use, even going to Colorado to see how they're made. We'd been trying to talk with McCrory for 5 months about what he thought.
You said it was really a simple solution for some of these families.
Yeah, it's a simple solution, and we all need some education.
So why was there nothing said about it? What was the reluctance in talking about
I think where we have to be careful is that this is not confused with recreational use in the term marijuana, because frankly this is really using hemp. It's not really marijuana.
He calls it a fine line, but one he's willing to walk to help the quality of life for these kids. It also means North Carolina children who moved out of state already, like Maddie Gorman and Luca Cardona, both who we met in Colorado, can soon come home.
This was a grassroots effort where the parents had to educate the media, had to educate the legislators, had to educate this governor.
Representative Pat McElrath is the one who originally sponsored the bill. Mecklenburg County Representative Becky Carney was also a co-sponsor. McElrath said she was just overjoyed. She was really impressed with how everything quickly came together in the past few weeks to make today happen. Back to you. Families driven to desperation, moving out of state to get CBD oils for their kids. For 6 months, we investigated, traveled to Colorado. We saw for ourselves and showed you how it's helping children with epilepsy. Now that strain of medical marijuana is legal in North Carolina. Those families can come home.
WBTV, and you've helped educate politicians like myself and maybe other parents.
WBTV, proud to say we're on your side.